Since the early 90s, more than 400,000 students from historically underrepresented groups seeking careers in the sciences have participated in a program established by the National Science Foundation. Every year, more than 30,000 of these students are graduating in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and the numbers are growing.
My name is Vanessa Dorado. I study mechanical engineering at the University of Texas at El Paso.
My name is David Espelin. I am working on my PhD in material science and engineering.
It goes back to the late 80s. Congress made a decision that it's important that we would have greater emphasis upon students who are historically underrepresented.
My name is Walker Jones. I go to Virginia State University and I'm majoring in agricultural business and economics.
My name is Casey Davis and I'm a graduate student in the Department of Anatomy at Howard University.
Congress commissioned the National Science Foundation to put forth a program that would serve that underrepresented group. That is Native Americans, African Americans, Hispanics, and Pacific Islanders.
My name is Ariel Taylor. I'm a food science major. I'm a sophomore, and I am a chemistry minor and a nutrition minor.
My name is Mark Habitaswe. I'm a senior in aerospace engineering here at the University of Minnesota in Twin Cities.
Increasing numbers of historically underrepresented minority students are aiming high and making a difference. This is the story of the Louis Stokes Alliances for Minority Participation Program, launched by the National Science Foundation in 1991.
We were originally known as the AMP program, the Alliances for Minority Participation Program. And then upon the retirement of Congressman Stokes in 1999, Congress so honored him by adding his name to the front of AMP. So we are known as Louis Stokes AMP program.
I'm just so honored and I'm so humbled to have my name associated with this great program.
My name is Cesar Garcia. I'm currently at the University of Texas at El Paso, and I study how to change electromagnetics using 3D printing.
My name is Claudia Rangel. I'm a student at UC Berkeley, and I'm studying civil and environmental engineering.
I was the first black member of the Appropriations Committee in the history of the House. And so I felt a special obligation to utilize these programs to be able to help minorities be able to achieve parity in our society.
I think he felt that the solution is not just appropriating money, but arming talented young people who have the skills with the opportunity and education to be the scientist and the doctors that can also contribute in a real sense.
Well, what we're trying to do is find candidate genes for diabetes, non-insulin diabetes mellitus, which is type 2 diabetes.
This study is gauging the effectiveness of how USDA programs are educating local farmers.
In a moment, we will look at how the program works to inspire so many of our future scientists and engineers. But first, what are the goals of the program, and why is it so important to increase the number of underrepresented students in STEM fields?
Fundamentally, the goals are two. First off, we are commissioned to increase significantly the number and quality of underrepresented minority students who gain a baccalaureate degree in STEM fields. The second goal is to increase the number of minority students going on to graduate school.
So why is it important to have underrepresented students in the STEM fields? And I really think there are two basic reasons. We are becoming an increasingly diverse country, and if we don't educate a STEM workforce that represents the demography of our country, we're simply not going to have qualified individuals to fill the spots in our economy. Our economy will fall behind and the country will be headed for a not very good place. And the second reason is that diverse points of view bring creative points of view. The ability of students from different perspectives to bring an idea or a viewpoint that students from other backgrounds simply might not have.
It was bad enough to squander minority talent years ago when minorities were minorities. But as minorities become the majority, this country is going to have to take seriously the importance of educating what will be the largest segment of the U.S. population. We can't afford to squander that anymore if we want to compete globally.
And so in the early 90s, with the coming of this program, led by visionary leaders like Congressman Louis Stokes and others, you had the realization that we had to ask agencies like NSF to contribute to this next level of the diversification and democratization of our nation. And this program has been absolutely essential. Just think of it, if we didn't have a highly diversified science, technology, and engineering leadership in our universities, in our federal agencies, and in corporate America. Well, first of all, we couldn't be a symbol to the rest of the world of what is possible, and I think our country would be less strong.
There are a lot of students out there that's not sure of all the opportunities that are out there for them. So when this program came along, you know, I have a future too, I can do it.
The LSAMP program really opened the doors for me to a whole new world of possibilities and to people and to resources that I had no idea that were available for students.
The program goals are accomplished through the formation of alliances made up from multiple institutions of higher education working together toward a shared goal. The alliances include the full range of types of colleges and universities, and often with partners from industry, national research laboratories, and local, state, and federal agencies. The LSAMP program started with just 6 alliances and has now grown to over 40, with more on the way. These include over 600 campuses nationwide.
We have canvassed the nation pretty much, from the east to the west, from the north and to the south, and including Alaska, Hawaii, Marshall Islands, Puerto Rico. They're all a part of the LSAMP program.
Strategies that help to retain students in the STEM pipeline through graduation and graduate school are built into the framework of the LSAMP model.
And the model has 3 components essentially, 2 of which come out of the Tinto model of student retention, which had to do with academic and social integration of the students. So provide activities and services that enable the students to become integrated into their academic institution. And the other piece is sort of socialization into sciences or professionalization. It's giving them activities that induct them into their profession. And it's a way to prepare them for the future, but also to really anchor them in their disciplines.
The LSAMP model utilizes a number of approaches that focus on helping students achieve academic and social integration and professionalization. Several activities cover one or more of these elements, providing students with a wide range of opportunities and experiences.
Part of what we're trying to do is develop in the students the skills to have their own study groups, to learn to use each other as a resource.
What they do is they collaborate with their other classmates, and that's a chance for them to really talk about the issues that they're having, maybe that they're having trouble understanding what's going on.
We select students who've been in the program and understand the program to be the facilitators.
If you were to rewrite that, like let's say, you know that if you have the
So we offer a very high quality study group is what this is basically, because the facilitator's here and he or she is here to help the students.
I tutor on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the different students come in with homework questions and exams. I help go over it and just encourage them with their work.
You come in as a freshman, you're getting dropped into all this theory, you're lost, you don't know what to do with it. But they were able to help me out, and here I am now, a few years later, giving back.
Taking calculus in the physics and chemistries and all those core courses, I was able to meet all the students that were in the LSAMP program and form study groups with them, as well as I was provided with mentors that helped me through my classes when I was finding difficulties.
It's extremely important for students who perhaps are coming from a background where they've had very little interaction with scientists or engineers and really very little appreciation for what they do and how they do it. So the ability for them to have a genuine conversation with a student who's not very much older than they are and get that mentoring and that introduction, it really contributes to success.
This acts in both ways. It helps the mentors remain engaged in their studies and goals and activities towards a degree. But it also provides a nurturing environment to the incoming students. So they find a niche, if you will, where they can, by collaboration among themselves, survive.
Mentorship is paramount to success because you don't know what to expect, and the mentor's role is to guide you and also give you advice, but also to let you make your own decisions.
As a research peer mentor, my main job is to facilitate workshops, and I help them find research opportunities, learn how to write research proposals, and kind of walk them through the steps that they need to do.
And she kind of helps me with my research and encourages me and keeps me on track and kind of explains to me what it is I need to do and kind of breaks it down so it's not so scary.
But I think one of the most important things is a sense of community among the students, that one of the issues that happens with students of color, students from underrepresented groups, is they feel like they're outsiders or a minority.
UC Berkeley is extremely competitive, and when students come here from their varied backgrounds, sometimes they feel a little disconnected and a little alienated. So camp provides a home away from home.
You need a place where you can go to and have a shoulder to cry on if you need it, or someone to give you a high five when you've celebrated something amazing or achieved something fantastic, whether it's in your class or in your personal life.
As a first-generation college student, it's really challenging to really picture yourself with these people who maybe have more of a sense or more confidence in what they're doing. So the community is really great because you're working alongside people who not only support you 100%, but are also sort of taking the same steps that you are.
You know, coming here from a different place, I didn't know anybody. You know, I didn't have any family out here, I didn't have any friends, so this was one of the first resources that I went to, just trying to seek out other, other graduate students.
You get surrounded with individuals who are happy that you're here and are more than willing to help you out.
Being very stressed out all the time or just feeling like you're alone, like a space like this specifically is super helpful for any of us.
And you make friends with people who have common interests, who are also science majors, who are also mathematics majors. So with that, you immediately get a sense of community that way.
The professionalization piece allows for a traineeship kind of an experience where the student follows the behaviors of the scientist or the engineer, the mathematician, in the laboratory setting.
And I got the opportunity to be here, and I just completely fell in love with research, and that's when I knew that I didn't want to go to med school. Instead, I wanted to do research.
We're doing research in quantum mechanics, movement of particles.
My research is about using mathematical models to find the shapes of placenta.
So I'm actually working on building an atom trap.
And I was working on the light rail, the central corridor light rail. And what I did was I was a field technician. I did some testing.
When students from the LSAMP program are working into my laboratory, I try to make sure it's a professional setting, just like they were outside in in industry.
The mentors that I work with in the hospital and the research center, the staff, how they pay attention to us and they make sure that we're able to do a lot of these experiments on our own, being able to present them at conferences is just giving me an opportunity that I would not have ordinarily had.
We've patented a process to make 3D printed electronics.
My current project is trying to characterize methane and assess its performance as an alternative fuel for rocket propulsion.
Think of your circuits now no longer as a flat plane, but as this 3D cloud that they interact, they talk to each other, something you've never seen before.
Once you see research in action, once you're involved with it, then that becomes then a large part of why you're doing this. And that opportunity is something that the Alliance does very, very well.
Have you found out anything?
Yes, but I can talk about it.
That's exciting.
Yes, very, very exciting.
You get to go to conferences and see, different people doing different work, and it's just so enlightening to see that people are doing stuff like that.
The students have oral and poster presentations on their science projects. Many of them have been working in laboratories for a long time, and they are presenting their data here today.
The LSAMP program has definitely opened up opportunities for us to be exposed to different research conferences and different networking opportunities that we typically wouldn't have.
I've spoken at symposiums, I've gone to conferences across the nation due to the LSAMP program.
I had never made a poster before, so I got to make a poster and I presented it in the LSAMP symposium, and I won, which was shocking because there's a lot of good posters, so it was an honor.
It's been awesome. It's been nerve-wracking at the same time. It does give you a lot of experience, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. So, I mean, I can only get better from here.
The LSAMP program is very important to the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. It's provided us funding so that our members can attend the national conferences and regional conferences of our group. They've also given us opportunities to do research here on campus, and they've funded special projects like the ACES rocket project.
We have an activity known as the Bridge to the Doctorate activity, which allows support for 2 years, a 24-month graduate program. And to date, we have produced or supported over 1,500 such students.
The Bridge to the Doctorate program here at Howard provided me with financial support for my first 2 years, which included stipend as well as tuition. And that helped me focus on my coursework.
There's a lot of different disciplines in the 12 different PD fellows, so you can have a lot of networking.
When I started graduate school, I did the LSAMP Bridge to Doctorate. I applied to that and I was accepted, and they paid for my first 2 years of graduate school. And through the LSAMP program, I've got great mentoring from Dr. Flores and my current mentor, Dr. Rumpf, that everything has worked out tremendously in my favor.
The importance of the LSM and Bridge to Doctorate program is, for me, it's the mentoring. To have somebody there that encourages you, to guide you throughout the program, whether it's the master's or PhD. I think that's really important.
After I graduate, hopefully I can apply to the Bridge to the Doctorate program as part of the LSM program, and that would take me first to a master's degree and then to a PhD in physics, and specifically in optics.
With all these strategies and approaches at work, has the LSAMP program been effective in achieving its goals?
The program has been remarkably successful on all levels, in retention of students, in graduation of students, in success in the courses that the students are taking, and success in subsequent courses, in going on to graduate school and finding valuable careers.
In the general population, there's generally a 50% change in majors for science majors, that you can't make it after their freshman year. We don't see that in LSAMP students.
We have identified that the development of best practices and to nurture the students to move forward towards the goal of their degree has been very positive. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to double the number of students graduating, by the 5th year of our grant.
The impact of the LSAMP program is highlighted in a report prepared by the Urban Institute for the National Science Foundation.
The key outcome was that we found a difference in favor of the LSAMP students. LSAMP students, on average, were more likely to go on to pursue graduate studies. They were more likely to enroll in a graduate degree program, professional degree, master's, or PhD, and they were more likely to complete that degree. And the end result of that was that we have about, I would say, a little bit over 40% of the LSAMP students completed a degree versus about 20% of the national comparison groups. And then when you look at STEM, it was about 25% compared to about 10% for the national comparison groups.
So what is it that makes the LSAMP program so successful?
I think it's the bundle of activities and services. I don't think there is a magic bullet, one thing that we can say this is what works. I think it's the LSAMP approach, which is very comprehensive. It's about student services, it's about faculty support, it's about partnerships and collaborations across institutions with industry. It's a very comprehensive approach to training and educating students in STEM.
It's a combination of things, and certainly we must point out that it has to do with the people that are part of the LSAMP program, the leadership, a nurturing faculty and staff working with our students.
For me as a teacher, having that focus that I'm trying to develop their student skills has been beneficial in all my teaching, because I think that's as much my job as teaching mathematics. So my teaching overall has benefited from this interaction.
We believe that this integration of the partners with a common goal of increasing the number of STEM students graduating in these disciplines, it's successful because of the fact that of the collaborative nature of the Alliance.
The Science Museum of Minnesota may be the only museum partnership to a Lewis-Stokes AMPS program. We're delighted to show the way in which science that matters inspires.
I think the takeaway message from LSAMP is that these programs that provide all these services that students need and that we know they need are an effective way to train and to retain students in STEM fields. And that requires a very comprehensive approach, reaching across levels. So it's not just about four-year colleges, but it's also about the articulation to the two-year colleges, and it's also about the articulation to the master's and PhD programs.
Those of us at the community college have gotten to know what happens at the university much more in terms of what they're doing to support inclusion and diversity in science, and they have gotten to know much more of a sense of who we are, who our students are, what kind of experiences they're having in their background for the first couple of years.
I think the LSAMP programs have demonstrated beautifully the importance of collaboration across institutions. No one does anything alone. We learn from each other, and the best practices that are developed at one institution can be shared with others. And I think that improves the performance of all of the programs across the country.
Every day, the Science Museum is teaming with the young students and families who want to see how science impacts their life. We give an opportunity to get excited about science, to create aspirations to learn, and the opportunity to try out new ways of mastering science. And through our partnership with the university's LSAMP program, we give university students a chance to see the wonder they can create in the next generation.
My long-run goals is to be a professor at some prestigious college and to have my own laboratory doing research focusing with breast cancer therapy.
After I graduate, I would like to work in the private sector, preferably the aerospace industry, and after that, eventually teach.
I'm graduating in May of this year with a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering. I hope to work on light rail design and stormwater management.
So after my master's degree, I want to go into a PhD degree, and I would love to go to industry for drug development in infectious diseases. And after a few years of working in industry, I would love to go back to academia.
So I hope to get a PhD in small-scale fisheries because I hope to help coastal tribes, especially my maternal tribe, which is the Mayan tribe in Mexico.
I want to build rockets. So basically, in the long term, my long-term goal is help. Hopefully, NASA or commercial flight will either go back to the moon or pursue manned flights to Mars. So I'd like to be a part of that.
First of all, I really want to get my graduate diploma, my PhD, and I want to work internationally with non-profit organization or as well as a profit organization.
Many more of our students now, because of the Alliance, are going on to graduate programs, either professional or going into the academic fields as well, in the hard sciences, and coming back, many of them, as faculty in the CSU.
And they're working at some of the most prestigious institutions in the nation and facilities including field stations and national laboratories. It's a delight to see the quality of the students that we have witnessed that have come through this program.
Once I finished my undergraduate degree at the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez, I was afforded the opportunity to go straight into industry. When a faculty member suggested that I continue my graduate studies and that I return to the university as a faculty member. And so having had the experience to present my work at an AMP-sponsored conference, the thought of being able to come back to my alma mater and be a faculty member and be involved in that sort of work, in serving to encourage others to pursue a career in STEM, were instrumental in me deciding to be a faculty member.
I'm currently engaged in a very important project at the university where we are engaged in improving our campus environment and making our campus more environmentally sustainable. And so it's very exciting because I have the opportunity to incorporate research that I was involved in as a graduate student and as an undergraduate student to the current efforts here at Virginia Union University.
At the PhD level, you learn how to work independently, you learn how to do research. So that's very helpful for me in my position now, because now I'm in the Flight Software Systems branch. I work on part of the GDS team, GDS standing for Goddard Dynamic Simulator. In particular, what I do on this team is that I'm implementing a non-spherical gravitational model, and it requires a lot of research, a lot of efforts, and they essentially gave that to me for me to do alone. And since I have the PhD, that it's not a problem.
As someone who was the first in his family to attend college and get a degree and go on in higher ed, I see the impact of these programs, but especially the one we're speaking of today, in the context of what's going to happen in the future of not only California, but of the country.
Being selected as a AAAS Fellow is a very exciting opportunity for me because I now have the opportunity to influence decision makers in Washington about science education, and it represents a full circle for me because I grew up really wanting to go into the science field, and there were activities that I was involved in that helped me make that decision, and now I can lead the future efforts to involve others in the science discipline.
For over 20, 30 years, LSAMP has been advocating for the things that are right now on everybody's agenda, which is expanding access and providing students, a wide, diverse group of students, the tools they need to succeed in these very high demand programs.
President Obama, the president of our nation, has said that our leadership structure, which will be significantly in science and math, must be diversified. The Alliance provides the greatest critical contribution to the diversification of science, technology, math, and engineering leadership in our nation. That critical mass in terms of diversification comes out of this alliance.